Hey, what's going on, you bunch of legends? I thought it might be good if we had a quick look and an analysis of the second Roues Chaudes Crit of the summer season here in Perth. This was down at the Driver Risk Management Centre down near the airport, so it's a completely closed circuit, not a road at any point in time or anything like that. This is actually used for driver training. Roues Chaudes put on some awesome races out here, so we're going to be watching the B grade race today. That camera's on me here, so you get a kind of recollection of what I thought in the time and maybe where I went wrong or where I went right. There was about 30 starters in this race, or just under, and my team, Dome Coffee Cycling, and you can see two of them up there in the red. We had 8 in the race, so a good almost third of the field, or just a bit under the third of the field. But yeah, so we definitely had to make a result happen. We've had a couple of trips to the podium this year so far, but never to the top step. So yeah, the bunch of riders we brought to this race were definitely the harder rolling, big power kind of riders for the most part. We had a few good sprinters in there, but they would definitely benefit from it being a reduced bunch because they had the legs over, especially a few of the other teams. The other two teams of note probably in this race are Midland. They actually brought a few guys and won them. Adrian, who we'll probably see, he animates the race quite a bit. He's definitely been animating a lot of the B grade races so far this year. He is definitely capable of winning in the right move, or at least making a big effect on the race, because he puts out a lot of power for a long period. And he's brought a couple of helpers this time, which was good to see, and it made them a pretty dangerous team. And there's a few of the XB guys in there as well, who are normally juniors, so they are a little bit on the weaker side compared to some of the men they're racing against, but at the same time they have an awesome kick, and they are dangerous to bring to the line. So those were the two things I was thinking about when I was rolling around here, just to make sure we're covering both those teams as well as any dangerous individuals that were floating around. There's some pretty wily old characters in this bunch. But watching this, we've just had the first lap go by. There was a small break that happened, but it all got brought back. But you can see that it's really strung out, really single file here. And I see that everything starts to slow down just a little bit, so I thought I'd have a little dig just off the front here, and just see if I could string things out. We had discussed as a team from the start that we really want to make this quite difficult, so because I was full of beans, it's the second lap, I just thought, maybe keep stringing it out while it's hard, because the last race we did here, we actually strung out for a fair period, and it definitely shelled some riders and made the group a lot smaller, which is a lot easier to manage. So yeah, but quickly I look around and I go, well, this isn't going anywhere. I don't have a gap, so I just kind of keep the pace solid and wait for guys to come around me. Alright, so just skipping ahead to about half a lap later, we've just finished the straight, and you can see missing the apex quite a bit. This was something I noticed actually all through the race, was guys missing apexes and leaving a little bit of time on the table. But pace properly slows down for the first time in the race, and first attack goes away, but you can see straight away, looking behind him, and it kind of it already looks like that attack is over before it starts. So but because it's a Midland rider, I know that there aren't going to be any other teams chasing this, so I just thought I'd kind of nicely chase this down through the corners, not burn matches, just kind of get on their aerobic gas and bring it back. But yeah, this was basically my job early on in the race here, was just patrolling, making sure dangerous breaks didn't go away. I knew I wasn't going to be our race winner, but I knew that I could make a big effect on the race if I did my job well. Alright, so then skipping forward again to about down the next straight, and you can see I've finally given up on being on the front, and a small group is getting away with one of our sprinters and a couple of our strong blokes, actually two of our sprinters, and Andrew Lilly's in there as well. So there's a really strong group, and Toby and I get to the front and we try and block on this straight. Obviously quite difficult to do when the straight is about 15 metres wide, but it all comes back together. But I give up on patrolling on the front. I've just done a couple of hard turns, so yeah. Now we're looking around. Now we're just gonna watching wheels for a little bit while we wait for the next little bit to happen. Alright, so this is the race winning move alert of the day. You're about to see a really smart piece of riding, and you'll see Eli go on the left around about here. Just goes full send, and we're coming to probably the hardest sequence of corners in the whole course, and it means that I get to take up the room of about 6 men when the pack normally gets single file through here, and it just means that I get to cruise through these corners, do almost nothing, and you can see we've done 3 corners there, and Eli has made up 15 seconds for free. And as a bonus, I've got to just cruise, holding the brakes through all these corners. So now, yeah, we just get to roll through this section, and spoiler alert, that move never comes back. So that's how, if you play your cars smartly, a lot of the moves were going on the big straight, but that's where big moves can be made, just in those technical sections. Alright, so we skipped ahead a couple of corners, and it's been about half a lap since that attack went, and finally the responses are coming on the big straight. My legs are pretty gassed here, but luckily big Doug Stewart comes past us, and I yell at him to get on that wheel because that move needs to be covered. Eli, who did get in the break for us, is a good rider, but I wouldn't rate his sprint, and I don't think he would either. So as soon as sprintier guys start trying to go across, we need to make sure that's covered. So we've actually covered that with, looks like 3 guys there. So Dan just jumped on at the end there, and he's our small little pocket-sized sprinter there. So now we've covered that quite well, and you can see Adrian actually comes around me here and stitches this all back together, so I don't even need to do a lot of work once I get to Adrian's wheel, because he'll bring it all back together, and hopefully our brake will stay away here. So and you can see now we're at the corner, and easy done, and everyone looks up and looks at each other and wonders what to do, which is good. It's good for us because we have a man up the road. So yeah, you can see lots of nothing going on. So now we're pretty happy with this. This is a really nice situation to be in. And yeah, we're cruising, which is good. So my work is kind of done for a little bit. I'm pretty happy with that because I was pretty gassed covering that last move there. So we might skip forward just a little bit. Alright, we'll watch a little bit more patrolling here. Nothing has been happening. The brake has not been coming back just yet. There's been a few little attacks, but they've all been covered. And down this straight again, another move goes. And if I wasn't talking over the top of it, you hear me tell Dan to cover that move because I was in no position to get it. And now that I see a lot of guys going across, I now just yell up at the general group around me so that they can pull me back up to speed there. A quick tip for you: if you're in a race situation and you just yell up, just at anyone in general, good chance that they will try and bring something back, or try and they'll just move faster because someone yelled at them. So there's a little tip for you. Now you can see Toby just in front of me has kind of let this gap go, trying to coax other guys into chasing down this gap, because we've got Doug and Dan, it looks like, up in that group, and so it's forcing like Midland guys to go across here, and slowly the whole group's going across. But Toby and I have done no work to bridge that gap, so we've forced other guys to do work, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Alright, I thought it'd be interesting to show this section of the race here. So we've moved on again. We're about almost 28 minutes into the race. It's a 40-minute race. And you see Doug launches a big attack there just to shake things up, and a lot of guys get on the wheel. You can see it's a strong attack, but it's good. We get a couple of blokes in here. and you can see slowly guys creeping across. So what I do here is just, I know my legs are pretty gassed, so I just wait for the pack to kind of come around me while I slowly get up to speed. The biggest way you can waste energy is accelerating a lot, and so I just want to make my accelerations nice and smooth and just chilled out. But you can see by the end of the straight, the brakes are on nowhere, nothing's happened, and we're back to how the bunch was before. Alright, so compare that attack to 1 lap later. So we've just done 1 lap since that attack, and watch this X speed young bloke on the left here. Dan and I on the front, so we're not really in a position to get on this wheel. Dan still gives us a good crack though, but that is a move, and that has put a lot of people in difficulty actually, and including myself. If you watch the heart rate on the left, once you account for the lag, and it's just going to keep going up, because this was what I found to be the hardest attack of the day to cover. I really wanted to shout that one out, because that was one of the young blokes from X Speed, and he definitely put me in the hurt box there. And yeah, you can still see I'm not in the wheels yet, and there is a fair amount of the group behind me, so it was a really nice attack from him. I don't know if he knows just how much he put people in difficulty with that one, but yeah, it was strong, and it was 1 lap after Doug's one, so you can just see the difference in the attacks and how much it made people hurt. Alright, so the group's starting to get antsy. We've got 3 laps to go, although we don't quite... oh, sorry, we've actually got 2 laps to go. It's about to be shown as we go past the start-finish lap here. Start-finish line. And Andrew... I'm sitting on Andrew's wheel, and I've asked him to move me up, but when the group is all strung out like this, there's no time to be moving up. We've just got to wait. Otherwise, we're going to burn all our bickies just trying to move around people. When the group's strung out like that, it's because it's quite hard, so no point going even harder to get around people. So I know that I have a couple of our sprinters on my wheel, and I've got Andrew in front of me. We do need to get up to the front though and collect Doug, our other sprinter, and I think we've got Andrew Lilly up there as well. So we need to get a move on. So this time now, when the pack starts to slow down, we need to be moving up. And you can see we're looking for room, and it's not really working at the moment. So about 1.5 laps to go here, and we're still not there. Now this is where we're going to have to start getting a move on, but luckily not too many more wheels to go, and there's a lot of dome wheels there, so we'll be able to shuffle ourselves around. But I tell Andrew to move on. He needs to get a crack on. And we get on the inside of this group here, and we make pretty much, you can see our line straight to the front here, and Andrew now gets a wriggle on, which is good. And we pick up Doug, and we pick up Andrew Lilly, who's just cruising on the front, and I get him to just sit behind Ballum for a bit of a rest, but in front of me. So this is how our lead out is formed for the last lap. So we had probably a good... I think we had all of our teams still in the group here, so had 8 guys, and we have 1 and a bit laps to go here. So Andrew Ballum now emptying the tank, he just goes, and because we have enough guys, we should be able to lead out a really good sprint here. Remember, the group of 2 still up the road, so we're racing for the last podium spot here. Ballum definitely in the hurt box here. I reckon he had the mouth wide open, drawing in all the oxygen in the world. I hope that he's going to take us to the corner. But I could hear guys start to swarm us, so I yelled at him to get up. He couldn't get up anymore, so he peels off. And Andrew Lilly, big workhorse of a man, is now going to give us a good... you know, we've got 3/4 of the lap to go, so he's just going to give me all of his beans here. and he does a pretty good stint here. We hop out of this corner and you can still see no one's coming around us, which is a good sign. But that is all of Andrew's beans. He has been out for a little bit, so now it's time for me. Now I assumed I had a fair few guys on my wheel, so I really just tried to get us through these corners and hope that was good enough. But I did hear from Doug around about this time, or maybe just a bit before, that he was the one on my wheel, and I really wanted to drop Doug off a lot later. So now I'm just trying to survive. You can see the heart rate is climbing as we go through this lead out. It's a long one, but I didn't want to drop Doug off too early because his use is definitely in that last 300, 400 meters, if not doing the sprint in the last 200, 150. So you can see the group of two just about, in front of us. We're not going to catch them. But holy hell am I on the rivet here trying to keep this group strung out for us. And you might have been able to hear me dying and Doug yelling at me to launch, and I couldn't give him anything more. And there you go, you can see the group definitely decimated from the last part of the race there, which is awesome. And Doug somehow held on for what looked like about a 3-kilometer sprint, and he actually ended up winning that bunch kick for third. So all round a reasonably good race, but Eli got rolled for in that first group, and he got second, so we end up with second and third on the day, but could be a lot worse. So there you go.